So, how we doing, family? It's your boy, Yo, and this is another episode of YoHoops. I go through every NBA game every day. Today's Sunday, February 22nd. We have an 11-game NBA card. I'm going to walk you through my thoughts and let you know the sides I like, so please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and let me know your favorite game in the comment section below. Without further ado, let me get into today's games. Recapping yesterday, nothing to really write home about, but we went 3-3 on the 6-game card. I was this close to profiting, but I needed the Knicks to win that game by 4. They did complete the comeback, so I was able to get plus 200 on the money line, but for the video's sake, I wanted to cash the spread. I'm now 68-43 on every game played in February. Let's keep the momentum rolling and go get our 70th win of the month tonight. In our first matchup of the evening, we have the Cleveland Cavaliers in Oklahoma City taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Cavs are minus 165 on the money line, and the total is 226.5. I was impressed that the Thunder got a 19-point win without SGA or J-Dub in that last game, but let's keep in mind that was against the Nets, who have a record of 15-40. Cleveland hasn't lost a game since James Harden's joined the team, and considering they're the healthier squad tonight, I see them keeping the momentum rolling. With both of these teams at full strength, I would think this would be a competitive series, so if you take away the Thunder's two best players, they should lose it by margin. I'm taking the Cavs laying the 4 as my first selection. In our next matchup, we have the Brooklyn Nets in Atlanta taking on the Atlanta Hawks. Hawks are minus 430 on the money line, and the total is 228.5. The Hawks are obviously the better team, but I don't know if I can guarantee a 10-point win. This line is right on the fence where I can see Atlanta having a dominant performance, but at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if the Nets shocked the world and won it outright. Rather than taking a side, I'm looking at a prop. I'm taking Michael Porter Jr. to go over 23.5 points. He hasn't cashed this line in 5 straight appearances, so the line is set a bit lower, but we know this guy's a hooper. He's averaging 24.7 points on 37% shooting from deep. If the Nets want any chance to compete, they're going to need 26 from my guy. Lock it in. In our next matchup, we have the Toronto Raptors in Milwaukee taking on Milwaukee Bucks. Raptors are minus 150 on the money line, and the total is 219.5. We've already seen a big impact from all the trades over the last few weeks, but to me, one of the biggest stories is Cam Thomas. He's easily averaging 20 points a game on the Bucks, and they're 3-1 straight up as significant underdogs in all of those games. Tonight, the Raptors are without their best player in Scotty Barnes. For me, I want to ride the hot hand with Milwaukee. I'm taking the Bucks plus a 3 as my next selection of the evening. In our next matchup, we have the Denver Nuggets in Golden State taking on Golden State Warriors. Nuggets are minus 235 on the money line, and the total is 229.5. Steph Curry is still ruled out with a right knee injury, and for me, that's enough to fade the Dubs. The Nuggets are back at full strength, and they're coming off their most dominant performance in franchise history against the Blazers on Friday. That game was a pick'em, and they won it 157-103. The Dubs are already lacking in size, and now you have the Joker coming into town? That's a bad look. I'm taking the Nuggets laying the 6 as my next selection of the afternoon. In our next matchup, we have the Dallas Mavericks in Indiana taking on Indiana Pacers. Mavs are minus 125 on the money line, and the total is 233.5. The injury reports for both of these teams are starting to get out of hand. I'm not even going to name everyone because there's 17 people on the IR, but some of the most notable names are Cooper Flagg, Nesmith, and Siakam. Running their second units, I can't say I see an edge either way, but I am looking at the total. The Pacers average 111 points per game, while the Mavs average 114, so that would set us around a 225 expected total. I get that not much defense will be played in a matchup like this, but at the same time, I don't see enough scoring to get us over a 234 total. I should also mention, the last time these two teams played, the final score was 105-107, a 212 total. I'm taking the Mavs and Pacers under 233.5 as my next selection of the afternoon. In our next matchup, we have the Charlotte Hornets in DC taking on the Washington Wizards. Hornets are minus 625 on the money line, and the total is 226.5. Obviously, I've liked what I've seen from the Hornets over the last few weeks, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend they're the Pistons. Maybe at full strength, I'm expecting them to win games by 20, but they come into this one shorthanded. Miles Bridges and Diabate are both still suspended, then Kobe White is ruled out with a calf strain. Of course, it's still possible they win this game by margin, but personally, I don't trust LaMelo Ball or Brandon Miller to get me a dominant win. I'm taking the Wizards plus the 11.5 as my next selection of the evening. In our next matchup, we have the Boston Celtics in Los Angeles taking on the Los Angeles Lakers. Celtics are minus 120 on the money line, and the total is 228.5. This is going to be a really fun game to watch. Besides Jason Tatum, both teams come into it at full strength, so we'll get a good measure of where these teams are at this point in the season. With Luka and Austin Reeves back in the lineup, the Lakers definitely have been a formidable squad, but I also can't overlook the fact that the Celtics are the number 2 team in the East. This is probably more one I'll be enjoying as a fan, but in my mind, the Celtics are the deeper team and they're favored in LA for a reason, despite everyone being on the Lakers. I'm taking the Celtics on the money line as my next selection of the evening. In our next matchup, we have the Philadelphia 76ers in Minnesota taking on Minnesota Timberwolves. Wolves are minus 380 on the money line, and the total is 238. The Sixers come into this one on the second leg of a back-to-back, flying from New Orleans to Minnesota. They got their asses kicked by the Pelicans last night, and all of their starters played over 30 minutes. Rudy Gobert is out tonight, so that's something to keep in mind if you're on the Wolves, but personally, I'm looking at another prop. I'm taking Anthony Edwards to go over 27.5 points. It's a little juiced at minus 130 odds, but I really like that line for Ant. I need you guys to do me a favor, go take a look at the Timberwolves lineup, and maybe besides Naz Reid, let me know if you see one bucket getter. The answer is no, they depend on Ant on a nightly basis. He's been showing up considering he's averaging 29.5, and with Kelly Oubre guarding him, I think he gets it done tonight. Lock it in. In our next matchup, we have the New York Knicks in Chicago taking on Chicago Bulls. Knicks are minus 510 on the money line, and the total is 231.5. Both teams come into this one on the second leg of back-to-backs. The Knicks fly in from New York while the Bulls remain at home. We saw two opposite outcomes last night. The Knicks completed a comeback win while the Bulls got ran out of their own gym. At the same time, there's levels to this because the Bulls lost to the Pistons, who aired out the Knicks the game before that. Some of New York's starters ended up playing 40 minutes last night because it was a close game, so I'd also give the rest advantage to Chicago. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm rushing to the window to bet with the Bulls on an 8-game losing streak, but I also won't be surprised at all when they win this game outright. I'm taking the Bulls plus a 10.5 as my next selection of the evening. In our next matchup, we have the Portland Trailblazers in Phoenix taking on Phoenix Suns. Blazers are minus 165 on the money line, and the total is 222.5. The Suns come into this one on the second leg of a back-to-back, but no travel as they remain at home. They got the win in double overtime last night against the Magic, but I will say it looked like they were running out of gas late in the fourth quarter. They led by 10 with about 4 minutes left, and they let Orlando come all the way back to force OT. All of their guys played extended minutes, and they're already shorthanded, so tonight, I think this is a tall order. I know Portland looked miserable in that last game against the Nuggets, but let's not forget, they're still 17-13 against the spread at home. I do want to know if Denny Advia is playing, but either way, I'm rocking with the Blazers. I'm taking Portland laying the 3.5 as my next selection of the evening. In our next matchup, we have the Orlando Magic in LA taking on LA Clippers. Clippers are minus 130 on the money line, and the total is 215.5. The Magic come into this one on the second leg of a back-to-back, flying from Phoenix to LA. They came up short in double overtime last night, but I do expect them to come out hungry tonight. The rest factor doesn't weigh as much on the Magic as it does for the Suns because they're a deeper team. I can't even say they're necessarily a talented team, but they do have pieces in their second and third units. If the Clippers were at full strength, I'd be more inclined to look in their direction, but tonight, John Collins is ruled out, then Kawhi Leonard is listed as questionable. If Kawhi sits, Orlando's winning this game outright. I'm taking the Magic plus the 2.5 as my last and final selection. And that's going to conclude today's video. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. 68-43 on every game played in February. Let's knock this one out the park per usual. I appreciate the support so much. I do this every day for free, so please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. it's your boy, Yo. And until the next one, I'm going to catch y'all. Peace.